They will doubt you not because you are incapable, but because your vision does not fit inside their understanding. Doubt is not proof of your weakness. It is evidence that you are operating beyond familiar territory. History has never favored those who were immediately believed. It favors those who were misunderstood long enough to become undeniable. When you begin a journey driven by purpose, resistance is guaranteed. People are comfortable with who you have been, not who you are becoming. The moment you outgrow their expectations, doubt appears. They question your ideas, your consistency, your discipline, and even your sanity. But doubt is the price of growth. If no one doubts you, you are likely aiming too low. Do not waste energy trying to convince people who benefit from your smallness. Explanation is rarely rewarded at the early stages of destiny. Your assignment is not to be believed. It is to be obedient to your vision. Results are not born from validation. They are born from persistence. Every great outcome passes through a season of invisibility. Seeds grow in darkness before they break the surface. During that time, the soil is silent, the rain is confusing, and the pressure feels unfair. Yet all of it is necessary. Pressure is not punishment, it is preparation. They will doubt your patience while you are building foundations. They will mock your discipline while you are mastering skills. They will underestimate your consistency while you are becoming dangerous. And when the harvest finally appears, many will claim they believed in you all along. Winning does not change people's nature, it only exposes it. Some will celebrate, some will imitate, and some will resent, but none of that matters. Victory is not about proving others wrong. It is about fulfilling what was placed inside you. Do not let doubt rush you. Time is an ally to those who are intentional. Stay focused when applause is absent. Stay disciplined when recognition is delayed. Stay faithful when progress feels slow. The world only celebrates outcomes, but destiny rewards process. One day, your results will speak in a language doubt cannot argue with. Silence will replace criticism. Respect will replace mockery. And your life will become the evidence that persistence outlasts disbelief. They will doubt you until you win. And when you do, let your humility be louder than your victory. Vision always offends familiarity because it challenges what people have already accepted as normal, safe, and sufficient. Familiarity creates comfort, and comfort resists disruption. When someone operates with vision, they are not reacting to the present. They are responding to a future that does not yet exist. This gap between what is seen and what is coming creates tension, and that tension often shows up as doubt, criticism, or resistance from others. People tend to measure possibility using their past experiences. If something has never worked for them, they struggle to believe it can work for someone else. Vision exposes this limitation. It reveals that what they assumed was impossible may simply be unexplored. This is why vision is often misunderstood. It does not fit neatly into existing categories, and it refuses to obey the rules that familiarity has established. Those who live by vision speak a different language, operate with different priorities, and make decisions that appear irrational to those who are anchored to the present. Familiarity prefers predictability. It wants proof before belief, evidence before effort, and safety before growth. Vision demands the opposite. It calls for movement before confirmation and faith before results. This creates discomfort, especially for those who have learned to survive by staying within known boundaries. When vision enters a familiar environment, it disrupts routines, challenges assumptions, and exposes complacency. Rather than confront their own stagnation, many choose to question the visionary instead. This resistance is not personal. It is psychological. Vision forces people to confront the possibility that they may have settled for less than they were capable of becoming. Instead of allowing that realization to inspire change, Familiarity often defends itself by attacking the one who threatens its stability. Criticism becomes a shield against self-examination. Mockery becomes a way to avoid growth. Doubt becomes a tool to protect comfort. Vision also isolates. Those who see beyond the present often walk alone before others catch up. Their discipline appears extreme, their patience unnecessary, and their focus obsessive. Yet this separation is part of the process. Vision cannot be developed in crowds that are committed to comfort. It requires environments that allow clarity, sacrifice, and long-term thinking. This is why visionaries are often labeled as unrealistic, stubborn, or disconnected. What others call detachment is actually alignment. Familiarity values consensus, but vision values conviction. Consensus keeps everyone comfortable. Conviction moves things forward. When vision is introduced, it exposes the difference between those who want improvement and those who want convenience. Improvement demands change. And change always threatens familiarity. That threat is why vision is often rejected before it is respected. Time plays a critical role in this tension. Familiarity judges immediately. Vision requires patience. What looks foolish today often becomes obvious tomorrow. Many of the ideas that are celebrated later were criticized early. This pattern repeats because human nature prefers results without process. Vision, however, is built in stages. It grows quietly, matures privately, and manifests suddenly. When the outcome appears, familiarity calls it luck, ignoring the years of unseen preparation. It is important for those with vision to understand this dynamic so they do not internalize rejection. Offending familiarity is not failure. It is confirmation that vision is active. If everyone understands you, you may be operating within limits rather than expanding them. The goal is not to offend people intentionally, but to remain faithful to what you see, even when it disrupts what others prefer. Ultimately, familiarity fades, but vision endures. Comfort maintains the present, vision creates the future. Those who choose vision must accept misunderstanding as part of the journey. In time, the same people who resisted will benefit from what they once opposed. And when that happens, the offense will turn into admiration. Not because vision changed, but because results made it undeniable. Validation is not a requirement for execution because purpose does not originate from public agreement. It originates from internal conviction. Waiting for validation before taking action places your future in the hands of people who may not understand your assignment, your timing, or your capacity. Execution begins when clarity meets commitment, not when approval is granted. Those who depend on validation delay progress, while those who depend on discipline move forward regardless of opinion. Many people mistake validation for wisdom. They believe that if enough voices agree, the decision must be right. In reality, consensus often reflects comfort, not correctness. New ideas, bold directions, and meaningful change rarely begin with applause. They begin with uncertainty. Validation usually arrives after results appear, not before action is taken. If execution depended on validation, nothing innovative would ever exist. The desire for validation is rooted in fear of failure, fear of rejection, and fear of responsibility. Approval feels like protection. It spreads the risk and reduces personal accountability. Execution, however, requires ownership. It demands the courage to act without guarantees and the strength to stand alone when support is absent. Purpose-driven action accepts responsibility before recognition. Execution is a private decision before it becomes a public outcome. Most people only see the finished result, not the internal battles that preceded it. Validation seekers announce intentions too early because they want reassurance. Executors move quietly because they understand that talk does not build capacity, work does. Silence is often a sign of seriousness. Those who are truly committed do not need to be convinced. They have already decided. Relying on validation can also distort judgment. When approval becomes the goal, compromise falls. People adjust their vision to fit what others are comfortable supporting. Over time, purpose is diluted, originality is lost, and execution becomes reactive rather than intentional. Instead of leading outcomes, validation-driven individuals chase acceptance. This is how potential is wasted, not through lack of talent, but through lack of courage. Execution refines clarity. Many answers only appear after movement begins. Waiting to feel fully confident before acting creates stagnation, because confidence grows through engagement, not observation. Action reveals strengths, exposes weaknesses, and builds competence. Validation cannot do this. Applause does not sharpen skill. Experience does. History consistently shows that those who executed without permission created paths others later followed. They were not reckless, they were resolved. Their confidence was not arrogance, it was alignment. They trusted what they understood internally more than what others expressed externally. This is not independence from feedback, but freedom from dependency on approval. Feedback can inform execution, but it must never control it. There is also a difference between counsel and validation. Counsel provides insight. Validation seeks comfort. Counsel challenges and corrects. Validation soothes and agrees. Those committed to execution seek wisdom, not applause. They value truth over encouragement and growth over praise. This mindset allows them to adjust without abandoning their direction. Execution demands endurance. When validation is absent, motivation must come from purpose. External encouragement fluctuates, but internal conviction sustains. This is why many stop when praise fades. They were fueled by attention, not intention. True execution continues even when no one is watching, celebrating, or supporting. It understands that consistency in obscurity produces credibility and visibility. In the end, validation is a reward, not a requirement. It often arrives after the work is complete, when the outcome can no longer be ignored. Those who wait for it before acting surrender control of their future. Those who execute without it build something that eventually commands it. Purpose does not ask for permission to manifest. It demands obedience. And when execution is complete, validation becomes unnecessary because results speak with authority. Delay is part of development, not denial, because growth requires time to form capacity before responsibility is revealed. Many interpret delay as rejection, assuming that if something were meant to happen, it would happen quickly. This misunderstanding leads to frustration and premature abandonment of purpose. In reality, delay is often evidence that preparation is still in progress. What is valuable cannot be rushed without being damaged. Development works invisibly long before it becomes visible. Foundations are laid beneath the surface where no applause exists and no confirmation is given. Skills are refined in repetition. Character is shaped under pressure, and discipline is formed in obscurity. Delay protects purpose from exposure before it is ready. It prevents potential from collapsing under weight it has not yet been trained to carry. Immediate access without preparation creates instability. When responsibility exceeds maturity, collapse is inevitable. Delay acts as a safeguard, allowing internal growth to catch up with external opportunity. What appears slow is often precise. Timing is not about convenience. It is about readiness. Development ensures that when opportunity arrives, it can be sustained, not just celebrated. Delay also tests intention. It reveals whether the desire is rooted in ego or commitment. Those driven by recognition grow impatient when progress is hidden. Those driven by purpose remain consistent even when outcomes are postponed. Delay separates those who want outcomes from those willing to endure process. It exposes whether obedience is conditional on reward or anchored in conviction. Many abandon their assignment during delay because they confuse silence with absence. Just because progress is not visible does not mean it is not happening. Growth often feels like stagnation because the changes are internal. Perspective is sharpened, resilience is built, and wisdom accumulates quietly. These elements are difficult to measure, but they determine long-term effectiveness. Delay also cultivates humility. It removes entitlement and replaces it with gratitude. When advancement is postponed, reliance shifts from talent to discipline. This prevents arrogance and builds appreciation for the journey. Those who bypass delay often lack empathy for process, while those who endure it understand patience and respect timing. Pressure during delay is not punishment, it is training. Resistance strengthens endurance, and uncertainty sharpens focus. When outcomes are delayed, distractions lose appeal and clarity increases. The individual learns to value progress over praise and alignment over applause. Delay refines motivation, stripping away superficial ambition and reinforcing authentic purpose. There is also protection within delay. Exposure at the wrong time can attract opposition before strength is established. Delay allows confidence to develop privately, so it cannot be easily shaken publicly. What is rushed is fragile. What is developed is resilient. Delay builds depth, and depth sustains longevity. Comparison intensifies frustration during delay. Observing others advance faster can create doubt, but development is not uniform. Each path requires different preparation. What looks like acceleration elsewhere may be collapse later. Delay customizes development to the demands of the assignment. Timing is individual because purpose is specific. Delay teaches stewardship. It trains patience with resources, people, and progress. It builds the ability to manage small responsibilities with excellence, which prepares for larger ones. Faithfulness in small assignments during delay is what qualifies individuals for greater impact later. Ultimately, delay does not cancel purpose, it confirms it. Denial closes doors permanently, but delay keeps them locked until readiness arrives. What is delayed is still possible. Development is the evidence that purpose is active, not forgotten. When the moment finally arrives, the waiting will make sense. The strength will match the responsibility. The wisdom will support the vision, and the delay will be recognized not as an obstacle, but as a necessary investment in durability. Consistency silences criticism because repeated discipline carries more authority than occasional brilliance. Criticism survives in spaces where effort is irregular and commitment appears uncertain. When actions fluctuate, observers feel entitled to question intentions, ability, and direction. Consistency removes that opening. It replaces speculation with evidence and opinion with pattern. Over time, steady execution speaks louder than any explanation ever could. Criticism often begins not with malice but with uncertainty. People doubt what they cannot predict. Inconsistency creates confusion, and confusion invites commentary. When effort comes and goes, observers assume motivation is temporary and discipline is fragile. Consistency corrects that narrative. It establishes reliability. When people see the same standard maintained regardless of mood, recognition, or resistance, criticism loses its foundation. Words invite debate, patterns end it. One strong performance can be dismissed as luck. Two can be questioned. Repetition, however, builds credibility. Consistency transforms effort into identity. When behavior becomes predictable in quality, critics are forced to adjust their assumptions. They may not agree, but they can no longer deny. Silence follows not because opinions change, but because arguments run out. Consistency also exposes the difference between interest and commitment. Many people begin with enthusiasm, but few endure through monotony. Critics often speak from the sidelines during early stages because they have seen excitement fade before. What silences them is not intensity, but endurance. When commitment remains unchanged long after novelty disappears, doubt loses momentum. Criticism thrives on gaps, missed days, abandoned plans, and unfinished efforts create space for judgment. Consistency closes those gaps. It communicates seriousness without explanation. It signals that the work is not emotional or reactive, but intentional. This kind of discipline cannot be rushed or fabricated. It is revealed over time. And time is the greatest ally of the consistent. Consistency also builds internal authority. When discipline is maintained privately, confidence becomes stable. This reduces the need to defend oneself against criticism. Those who are inconsistent are often the loudest in explanation because they feel exposed. Those who are consistent remain calm because their work is already speaking. Silence in response to criticism is not avoidance, it is assurance. Criticism tends to focus on beginnings, not endings. Early efforts are easy targets because results are still forming. Consistency carries projects beyond the vulnerable stage. As progress compounds, attention shifts from questioning ability to observing outcomes. At that point, critics either become quiet observers or attempt to rewrite their narrative. Consistency forces that shift. There is also a psychological effect at work. When critics see consistency, they are confronted with their own lack of follow-through. This discomfort often results in silence. Criticism is easier than commitment. Observing someone maintain discipline exposes the cost of excuses. Rather than confront that cost, many withdraw their commentary. Consistency does not eliminate all criticism, but it filters it. Thoughtless noise fades, leaving only constructive feedback. This is valuable. The consistent are not threatened by feedback because they are grounded in process. They can distinguish between distraction and instruction. Inconsistency, on the other hand, reacts emotionally to every opinion because it lacks a stable foundation. Over time, consistency reshapes reputation. It transforms how effort is perceived. What once appeared risky becomes respected. What once seemed unrealistic becomes expected. Consistency changes the conversation without engaging in it. It proves intent through persistence and competence through repetition. Ultimately, criticism cannot compete with results sustained over time. Occasional success invites applause. Consistent progress commands respect. Silence from critics is not the goal, but it is the natural outcome of discipline maintained without interruption. Consistency does not argue, justify, or defend. It simply continues. And in continuing, it renders criticism unnecessary, ineffective, and eventually irrelevant. Results are the highest form of communication because they deliver clarity without explanation and authority without argument. Words are flexible, promises are negotiable, and intentions are invisible. Results, however, are undeniable. They do not require interpretation or persuasion. They speak in outcomes that cannot be debated, dismissed, or redefined. Where language can be questioned, results stand as final evidence. Many people rely on words to establish credibility. They explain plans, justify delays, and defend intentions. While communication has value, excessive explanation often signals the absence of completion. Results remove the need for defense. They replace speculation with substance. When outcomes are visible, motives become irrelevant. Achievement sells discussions that conversation cannot. Results also reveal truth over time. Anyone can speak confidently for a moment, but sustained outcomes expose consistency, competence, and discipline. Talk may impress temporarily, but it fades quickly without proof. Results endure because they are built through repeated action. They show not just what someone believes, but what they have been willing to execute. In this way, results communicate character as much as capability. In environments filled with noise, results bring silence. Debate thrives where there is uncertainty. Once outcomes appear, uncertainty disappears. Opinions lose power when confronted with evidence. This is why results shift respect without negotiation. People may disagree with methods, but they cannot deny effectiveness. Results do not ask for approval, they command acknowledgement. Results also create trust. Trust is not formed through intention alone, but through reliability. When results are consistent, confidence grows. Others begin to rely on what has been demonstrated rather than what is promised. This reliability becomes a language of its own. It communicates stability, competence, and follow through without a single word spoken. There is also humility embedded in results. Those who focus on outcomes understand that performance matters more than presentation. They allow the work to speak rather than insisting on being heard. This restraint strengthens impact. When success arrives quietly, it carries more weight. Results do not announce themselves, they are discovered. Results also protect from misinterpretation. Words can be misunderstood, motives questioned, and intentions doubted. Outcomes simplify everything. They define reality clearly. What exists, works, or improves is self-evident. This clarity removes confusion and reduces conflict. When people see progress, alignment becomes easier because direction is visible. The process that produces results is often ignored, but it is essential. Results represent accumulated discipline, patience, and resilience. They are not accidents. They communicate effort long before they appear. Those who understand this do not rush explanation during early stages. They allow time to mature the message. When results arrive, the message is complete. Results also establish legacy. Conversations fade, but outcomes endure. What is built, improved, or transformed remains as evidence of contribution. This is why impactful individuals are remembered for what they produced, not what they promised. Results outlive voices. They continue communicating long after the speaker is gone. It is important to understand that results do not need to be dramatic to be powerful. Small, consistent outcomes speak just as clearly as large achievements. Progress communicates direction. Improvement communicates commitment. Reliability communicates integrity. Over time, these quiet results accumulate into undeniable proof. Ultimately, results remove the need for self-promotion. They eliminate the pressure to convince, compare, or compete verbally. When work is effective, recognition follows naturally. Results speak with authority because they are grounded in reality. They answer questions before they are asked. They close conversations before they begin. And in doing so, they become the highest, clearest, and most respected form of communication.